have come out of the bedrock. We are no longer in the bedrock. We are outside. There's a roof over us, but it is not the bedrock. It is just a constructed roof. We have come out of the bedrock of Jerusalem. It turns out that the Jebusites dug their tunnel to come out at this point. Why? Well, let's see what we have here. We have this sharp edge coming along here, carved in the stone. And if you were to lean over, you would see that it makes a perpendicular curve, a perpendicular turn right here. We also have this big, thick stone structure up here. And if you look down beneath the grid over in that direction, you'll see other piles of equally thick stones that have been ordered in place. And it seems that what the Jebusites actually did is much more sophisticated than being connected to that shaft. The tunnel came out here to a huge pool. This is the edge of a pool which extends over in that direction. Because when you think about it, it doesn't make sense to use all the effort to make that tunnel and then have that tiny little shaft that nobody can stand around. Where did the women stand when they put their buckets in the water? People accepted it for so long that there were certain questions that they didn't ask. And people didn't actually send the buckets down. When they tried sending buckets down, they found that it didn't work very well. They got snagged on this shaft because it has a lot of rough edges. But it seems much more likely that they came out to this pool and they had platforms that were anchored into the side, and from there they could really lean over and get the water and then go back through that system up into the city. But this is outside. This is now exposed to an enemy. This does not give them the protection of going and getting the water under the walls and never leaving the city. They go under the walls, but now they're outside. So it needs to be protected. So there was a tower right here, protecting this pool. And there was another tower over here, also protecting the pool and doing something else as well. This lower tower is actually a cap on top of the spring. Actually encases the spring. And so what we have, there used to be a diagram there. I don't know if it's a small diagram here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but in the diagram that we used, you can see that the water of the spring is funneled into a pool. Now it's thought that the Jebusites had two towers, and that possibly the Israelites under David and Solomon added two more towers. So actually the whole thing is hemmed in by towers. Everybody see what I'm talking about? This is a pool that is fed by the original spring. There is a phrase in the book of Kings, the early book of Kings, talking about the anointing of Solomon. And it says that Solomon is anointed not on the spring of Gihon, but in the spring of, not in the spring of Gihon, but on the spring of Gihon. And it might possibly mean that he was not actually anointed in the spring, but in the structure above it. Possibly. Very hard to tell, but it expands the possibility of the interpretation of that phrase. What does it do with the question of David getting into the city via a shaft? Well, not via that shaft, but maybe something else. Maybe there were other shafts. Maybe there was one on the other side of the pool. Who knows? There are still more things to be discovered here. So it's still an open question. Let's go down. That group is going to be going into the tunnel. Let's go down and stand by the spring and talk about Hezekiah.